You ever have one of those mornings where a single sentence rips the world in two? You don't eat with the other kids. Your mom shouldn't have had you. Kids like you belong over there. Those 3 lines, sharp, small, and ordinary enough to be dismissed, hit a little girl in the cafeteria and changed everything for her dad. That's where this begins. Act 1. Hook, setup, tension. My name is Marcus Hayes, and I'd like you to picture me before everything went sideways. Coffee, black case files on the kitchen table. A man who spent 18 years watching for injustice for other people. I knew how to read faces, how to sit in a room and make people talk, how to turn messy stories into something that mattered. But nothing prepares you for your own daughter looking at you like she's broken. Lily was 8, wore mismatched socks and cartoons on her backpack, and had this way of drawing our family with the sun beaming over a perfect little house. The kind of drawing that keeps you going on the rough days. Since her mom died, mornings were quieter, but we had a rhythm. She'd ask the same question, "Daddy, you home today?" like she was checking in on the only steady thing left. I'd flip pancakes the way her mom used to. Simple rituals. Safe. So, when I decided to surprise her at school with a sandwich, I thought it'd be a 10-minute detour. A smile, maybe a sticky hand reaching for my fingers. I pushed open the cafeteria door and saw Lily sitting alone at a tiny table far from the others. A laminated sign in bold letters read, "Behavior Table." No tray, no juice box, no friends. Just a small body hunched like it was trying to fold into itself. The teacher, Ms. Porter, leaned in and the words came out like they were meant to teach her a lesson. Not hurt a child. You know how your kind are. You behave like animals sometimes. Maybe if your mom had been better, you'd know how to act. Kids laughed. A few adults looked away. I stood there 5 feet from her, and something in me changed. I did the sensible thing first. I listened. Habit. Don't act until you know what you're dealing with. But I also knelt down, said, "Hey, baby girl," and the world narrowed to the 2 of us. Her bottom lip quivered. "She said I was bad," Lily whispered. That's the sentence that lodged in me like glass. Act 2. Evidence escalation. The turn. I could have flashed a badge, made a phone call, and watched the school fold like wet paper. Yeah, that would have been easy and wrong. I knew the line between using power and abusing it. So I did what I do best: collect evidence, build a timeline, make sure the truth is the weapon, not my badge. It didn't take long to find threads. An email from Ms. Porter to Principal Caldwell calling students out of place, typed time-stamped on district servers. A grainy video from a parent meeting 2 years earlier where Ms. Porter said plain as day, they need to learn their place. One more parent came forward, David Ruiz, with a covert recording of a staff meeting where discipline policies were described as weeding the garden. Patterns always leave fingerprints. I met Claire Hale, a local reporter who's been on the education beat for a decade and who smells a story like rain smells like thunder. Together, we filed records requests, pieced together disciplinary spreadsheets, and waited. The numbers were ugly. Kids of color made up a small percentage of enrollment, but a huge majority of the disciplinary referrals. Not an accident. A system. When I started asking questions, the district's playbook unfurled like clockwork to deflect delay, and sometimes, if you're lucky, deny. Misunderstanding, the principal said. "We take these matters seriously," the press release read. But the thing that made my teeth ache was a memo from HR that had been altered. A paragraph recommending formal reprimand for Ms. Porter erased, replaced with a note that said handled internally. Someone had scrubbed the record. That's when the pressure hit. There were phone calls to my workplace, from attorneys quietly saying, "We're concerned." A certified letter threatening to report me for improper use of my position. The district tried to make the story about me instead of what happened to my daughter. Classic move: turn the victim into the villain and watch people lose interest. But the community started murmuring. Parents who had been silent for years started leaving messages in my inbox. Rachel, a former teacher, handed me a stack of handwritten notes she'd kept for 4 years, names and dates of kids who'd been isolated, shamed, or worse. David pulled back when Soya Lawyer's threat hit his family finances. He couldn't risk his job or his pregnant wife. That was heartbreaking, because it showed the cost of speaking up. Still more people came forward. Claire published a piece that laid out the evidence: emails, video, the altered memo, the numbers. It spread fast. Within days, some parents formed a group online and lawyers started reaching out, which is to say this wasn't just a dad with a grudge anymore. This was a story that could not be waved away. Act 3. Showdown. Victory. Open ending. We showed up at the school board meeting, told our truths in public not to score points but to lift the silence that had protected bad actors for years. I walked to the microphone with Lily sitting up front, small and quiet, and for the first time since that lunch she looked like herself, not folded. I didn't use the title people expected. I said, plain, I'm Lily's dad, and then I told the story. The table, the words, the memo. People cried. People applauded. Folks testified a teacher who quit because she couldn't watch anymore, a parent who filmed a meeting, a retired clerk with a copy of the original minutes showing that a reprimand had been recommended and then reversed. The board didn't have room to wiggle. An independent investigation was ordered. Ms. Porter was placed on leave and Principal Caldwell resigned the next week. Personal reasons on paper, but everyone knew why. But let's not lie. It wasn't a perfect triumph. Institutional change takes time. The investigation uncovered tampered documents and a culture that preferred silence to accountability, and lawyers whooped like lawyers do. Some families got settlements. Some kids never fully recovered the lost school year. Lily still has moments, a flash of hesitation when a teacher raises their voice. Trauma doesn't tidy itself up just because a headline appears. What changed, though, was the quiet. Other parents stopped assuming their kid was the problem. Teachers who'd been afraid to speak up found courage. Kids who used to sit alone started to be asked, "Hey, you okay?" And not because of a policy briefing, but because people stopped looking away. Final beat. What it means, call to action. So here's what I want you to think about. Systems don't change unless people disrupt them, and disruption starts with one small act: asking why listening. Refusing to be polite if silence hurts a child. Would you have stood up? Would you have turned away? That question is the point of this whole thing. If this moved you, I want you to do something concrete, not just a click. Tell me in the comments, have you seen a child left out? Did you ask why, or did you look away? Do you think institutions protect people or cover them? Argue with me. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I missed something. The conversation matters. Share this with a friend who thinks that stuff doesn't happen here, because it does, and pretending otherwise lets it keep happening. If you're a parent, a teacher, or just a human, promise me one thing. The next time you see a child sitting alone, ask them their name. Sit. Bring their tray. Don't let the behavior table be a thing in your town. And if you're willing, share your story below. You could be the person who helps someone stop feeling alone. Thanks for listening. If you want more stories where people find a way to push back, hit subscribe and tell me what you think. Right, wrong, complicated. I'm here for it.